because at the end of the day, I still want to be able to I don't dislike George Washington. I don't dislike even some of the most racist people in history. But I want to know their history, but I also want to know not only that, you know, hey, they were whatever, but I also want to know about the Shirley Chisholms. I also want to know about the Frederick Douglasses. And not even Nat Turner. I want to know more about Nat Turner than him just being some revolutionary. I want to know the Nat Turner that was out in the fields. I want to know the Nat Turner that grew up as a kid. I don't want to know just the narrative. You know, tuned in, Starving and Serve. Tuned in, Starving and Serve. Tuned in, Starving and Serve. Tuned in, Starving and Serve.
My futon, hold it up and smoke it. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for.
It's madness, yo. All the things that we could talk about.
Call it.
But let's talk about these urban circumstances real quick.
And basically, it's
we got this.
So,
revolution.
Winner's frosty hand. Muhammad is the fame's name, forever stand.
Standing on royal fusing of justice for the few, ridiculed by the pale terrorists, bent on genocidal obsession, rooted in fear of neglection and abandonment, fueled by nightmares of ancestors' jealousy.
Truth, because at the end of the day, I still want to be able to I don't dislike George Washington.
The kind of friends I think our friends should be like my friends. My friends are the kind of friends I think everyone needs. My friends see the things at times I don't see. My friends hate the police.
What has changed?
Are deemed the criminals, and the blacks are deemed the criminals.
shut up and help.
Reflection ain't nothing but the inner child trying to see you. You gonna look? You gonna pick up that book?
Lord, keep me far from the faith. Guide me through night and day. Teach me your ways. Show me the righteous way to sway. Lord, can you teach me, please? Show me the way, I'd say. Ooh-wee. Grand Risings, and welcome back to another episode of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal. We're excited to have you join us on this journey of thoughtful discourse and community engagement. The Urban Conservative is proudly sponsored by the Leon Black Network, an organization committed to promoting transparency, truth, and accountability in our media landscape. Here at the Urban Conservative, our mission remains steadfast to bring you the latest news directly from the streets, addressing critical topics such as gun violence, crime, politics, and perhaps most importantly, exploring solutions to the profound challenges our communities face. As we embark on this third season, the focus is clear. It's time to actively contribute to the transformation of our communities for the better. How can we achieve this? The answer lies in a multifaceted approach that starts with reconnecting with our core family values. Strengthening our sense of community is paramount, fostering bonds that transcend the barriers that often divide us. Moreover, it involves embracing our foundational roots, recognizing the historical and cultural threads that weave through the fabric of our society. In this season, we're calling for more than words. We seek action. It's a plea to move beyond mere rhetoric and engage in tangible, impactful initiatives that contribute to positive change. The time for empty words has passed. Now more than ever, we need to put our convictions into action. Together, united by a common purpose, we can make a substantial and lasting difference in the well-being of our communities. So join us on this journey as we explore not only the challenges, but also the opportunities for growth and progress. Together, let's turn our shared vision for stronger, safer, and more connected communities into a reality. Thank you for being a part of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal, a platform dedicated to fostering change and making a positive impact on the world around us. Shut up and help. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Where do I start off this morning? Because it's going to be we're going to get into some critical topics this morning. As you can see, the headline, Minnesota uncovered, legislating changes, healing greed, legal turbulence, and so many other things. And I want to get off today. Where do you start? There's so much going on. Just last night, you see Biden giving Haiti $100 million. You see their prime minister, who isn't even in their country, resign. And it's like, why are we continually getting involved in so much international bullshit, right? And I mean worldly. And here's the thing of it is, when I mean involved, we start this shit. I don't understand why we as Americans, we always want to call, just like, I see the guy committed suicide yesterday who supposedly, they call him a whistleblower, who said that, he wouldn't even, there's a lot of people that even work in manufacturing planes that said they wouldn't even drive those planes. They wouldn't even fly them. And it's like, damn, like, what the fuck is really going on? And then, I wake up this morning and I see a story that was posted yesterday about coming out of Iowa about Perry Foods. Well, not Perry Foods, but in Perry, Iowa. And I see a Tyson pork processing plant. It's closing. They're laying off 1,276 employees, right? So then I had to look a little bit, right? Because that really threw me off. I'm like, damn, I thought, food and all that, the industry was really good. Hormel, because I don't live that far from a pork processing plant myself, which is one of the biggest ones. We all know who Spam is, Hormel. I know everybody done had a Spam burger, some Spam and eggs. You done had some Hormel chili, whatever. But damn, so I looked that up, and to see that Iowa, that the pork that we eat, the pork products, 1/3 of it, right? So literally 33% of our pork comes out of Iowa. And if they're laying off 1,200 employees in a town that is 9,000, barely 9,000 people, that just remember, because we covered this earlier in January, right? There was a shooting that happened in Perry, Iowa. We covered that, right? So it is. I guarantee. No, I agree with you, Robert, and that's the point that I'm trying to get at. Is like, they are trying to literally, not even trying, because they put it out there. So if you got to figure, one of the 5 biggest pork processors is laying off employees, right? And then you had the wildfires in Texas. We'll call them wild because right now there isn't no evidence of arson or anything like that. So we'll just call it a wildfire. But that literally killed off so much cattle and so much acreage down in Texas. That's not being talked about in the news. But as I was researching about pork, I started to see that, why is China buying up all of our pork processors? You know what I'm saying? Then I started to look into other industries. And again, you see China, you see other countries. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand that. And I don't have nothing against other countries, but it is like our laws are different, right? We do things differently. I would trust more of an American company that has the same values, right? The same integrity. I would hope that would have the same integrity as me. And what I mean by that is American values, because we look at shit differently. Because you go to China and they don't have the same labor laws that we have, right? Neither does Mexico, Argentina, none of these places that use slave labor or child labor. I'm not okay with that. Just like I don't purchase or go to certain places. I don't go to Starbucks. I don't shop at Target. I talk shit to my family members that go to Target and shop. It's really hard. This the thing of it is, right? Because I try not to even spend my fucking money at Walmart. But you don't have any options when we come into this society of literally, right, NAFTA, yep, and talk about it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard to spend money inside the black community, because even if they here's my thing of it is, right, because there's places like Hy-Vee or Target or mainstream shopping places that put black products in there, right? Because we have like Minneapolis, prime example, with Target. Charleston White, I think his name is, or Houston White, whatever. But he owns a coffee shop over in North Minneapolis. This dude is the fucking biggest sellout to me. It's like, you come in here and you boast about Target, but yet don't talk about the shit that Target does to the black community, or even, matter of fact, the poor community, or how much involvement they have politically when it comes to legislation or policies. They don't want to talk about that, right? So that's what bugs me. And there's so many other places that do that shit. And yet we have to understand it. It's funny because I had a conversation with my mom yesterday about, we were talking about politics and we were talking about immigration. And I told her, and she was like, "You're just thinking like that now, Chaz?" Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to say I just started thinking like this. It's been a while, but nobody cares. I didn't want to think like that, because I always wanted to see the good in people, right? But at the end of the day, when it comes to either party, I don't see good. I see agendas, and that's what we're going to get into today is talking about these agendas, right? Because we're going to talk about public safety, we're going to talk about healthcare, we're going to talk about our education, and what I mean when I talk about education, I'm talking about here in Minnesota, because we have the school resource officer issue that yesterday passed in the Senate 57-9 with the new amendment, and now the House author, who is a Democrat, is not agreeing with the words. So this morning, in an hour and 16 minutes, they will be in a bipartisan committee of Republicans and Democrats that will be talking about the school resource officer bill, which the amendment that was added yesterday is literally about putting kids face down in certain situations. And I don't agree with that. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't agree with putting kids face down. It's like you already have the prone restraint. Why do you want to go a step further and put their face down, right? I think what you have already in that bill is enough. You have bipartisan, you know what I'm saying? Passage. So I would say let's leave it how it is. This my thing of it is because they always want to take. It's always we always got to compromise, right? Here's the thing that I say to Republicans, right? Because I thank you for the things that you do fight for. Walter, I appreciate what you do. Lisa, I appreciate what you do. Paul Novotny, I appreciate what you do. But I got to call y'all out when you're wrong, right? And this is where I'm getting into it, because we're going to talk about the school resource officer, but we're also going to talk about what happened yesterday with the 52 or 53 page document that was released to in the Ryan Lundgren case, the Hennepin artist, the Minnesota state trooper who shot and killed Ricky Cobb. And there's a lot that's been coming out with that. And I want to tell people this, right? Out of everybody that we deal with in politics in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, I will say this, is that Mary Mortery, or however you say her last name, I think what she's doing is outsmarting them, and they're getting mad, right? Because I will say this, I haven't read everything that has came out about the court documents and the use of force expert. I've only seen little snippets. I was trying this morning to look for the transcript, and I couldn't find it. But I did find other little snippets and shit. And so, matter of fact, while we're talking about this, let's get into a video that Fox 9 played last night. Excuse me, I had to burp. Fox 9 ran last night. And of course, you're going to...
Recordings just got better.
Hey, it's Dana from... I need it real quick while you do this punk-ass ad. Facebook or YouTube got to get paid. So here we go, and then I'll come right back.
The Hennepin County Attorney's decision to charge a state trooper with murder. Last summer, prosecutors charged Ryan Londrigan in the deadly traffic stop of Ricky Cobb II. Londrigan's legal team claims a use of force expert used in several other high-profile state cases told prosecutors early on that the shooting was justified if Londrigan was trying to protect his partner. Information they say was ignored.
Paul Bloom takes a look at how this could impact the case.
Charges were appropriate without the use of an expert.
When Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty outlined her office's decision to charge State Trooper Ryan Londrigan with killing Ricky Cobb II during a traffic stop, she explained that prosecutors made the call without the input of a use of force expert.
I'm just going to go a driver's side approach.
At the time, the announcement turned heads, as her office had previously stated it had picked out an expert and that their independent review was a critical part of the process to determine whether charges were in fact warranted. Well, now months later, in this 52-page defense filing, Trooper Londrigan's legal team believes they have figured out why that expert was not ultimately used. That is because they believe the expert, Jeffrey Noble, a leading national voice in the field who consulted with local prosecutors in the police killings of George Floyd and Philando Castile, had opined that Londrigan may be justified in shooting Cobb if Londrigan perceived his fellow trooper was in harm's way. In body and squad camera footage released publicly in the aftermath, it appears the second trooper is inside Cobb's car, trying to pull him out while the vehicle begins to accelerate away from the I-94 traffic stop. In their filings, the defense appears to quote directly from early emails between Noble and prosecutors, including Moriarty. Now, Londrigan's attorneys are demanding all of the communications between the parties as they try to defend Londrigan in court. Meantime, Moriarty's team responded in a written statement that they reject the accusation wholesale, writing it as simply false that Noble came to any final legal conclusions, explaining that early meetings with him were only preliminary discussions, and that Noble did not have the full record of what occurred at the time, including Londrigan's extensive training history on properly handling challenging traffic stops with a potential fleeing driver.
I really do think that this case, this expert opinion that the prosecution has, is pretty damning.
We asked Mitchell Hamlin emeritus law professor Joseph Daly, who is a national arbitrator in police misconduct cases, about defense claims here that the use of force expert could see the shooting as justified.
It seems to me that based on the evidence now that exists as a matter of law, you cannot get a conviction on this case. So I might even consider dismissing the case if I were the judge.
And this case really turned political with these filings. This group of House Republican lawmakers calling a Capitol News conference Monday afternoon to demand the immediate resignation of the Hennepin County attorney for how she came to her charging decision. Meantime, attorneys in the case are set to return to a Hennepin County courtroom in about 10 days, where the arguments will continue there. Reporting in the news, Paul Bloom.
So, I agree, Rob. I mean, I agree, Rev. She did nothing wrong. And this is my thing of it is, and this is why I'm asking Walter, because I listened to you this morning on John Justice. And I'm going to say this is this is why it makes it really hard for me to vote red, right? Is when I see things like this, especially they put the two black people in the Republican Party face front at this press conference yesterday. And I'm talking about Lisa DeMuth and Walter Hudson. And it's like, hold on, because they killed a black man. And for you guys to get up here and to say that that man did his job, and at the end of the day, they didn't even use, they didn't need to, right? Here's my thing of it is, in my eyes, everything that had to do with Ricky Cobb, they didn't need a use of force expert, right? Because we all seen with our own eyes. And then when it got to come out about their training, he went against his training. So the fact of use of force he already, first of all, like Robert said, the general order sets the boundaries of their discretion for the department. And that is something that has been pointed out numerous times. And it's not just even Robert saying it. There's other people. But see, when it becomes politics, and remember again, it's an election year. So they got to go with certain things. And to me, it's a deflect and distract. And that's what literally what I really want to talk about today when it came to that is about the deflect and distract, because we have bigger issues at hand. Bless up, bless up. We have way bigger issues at hand. And for them to be sitting here wanting to ask a lady to resign where none of you guys even live in that district or even live in that county. Sit down, because we can't even get people together to recall city elected officials who screw us over on a daily basis. But yet you want to come out statewide and make it a political talking point about Hennepin County? Which, how does that help you? Oh, wait, it does, because you're gonna fight for that ward, that district. How? Please tell me how. Please tell me how you're gonna fight all the way in Ostiego, Albertville, wherever y'all live, Maple Grove. How do y'all help Hennepin County, right? Because even Jim Schultz, you had your opportunity, dog. Rev asked you numerous times to come over north. Numerous times. The same thing with Jensen. All we heard was excuses. It was excuses, but you didn't have no problem parading niggas around in your little chartered buses and all this other shit. But when it came time to actually do shit for the black community, y'all were crickets. It was crickets, because once the election was over with, y'all were gone. Once y'all had used us and made, because I'll tell you right now, man, this is why I have a hard time and I'll butt heads all day with these activists, these so-called activists that are trying to tell people to go vote Republican. I'm going to stand. Minnesota's a different beast when it comes to Republicans, right? And probably the same thing with Illinois. Y'all literally want us to go a direction where we can't even trust these people because of first of all, their verbiage. their verbiage. Oh yeah, they're not, man. Yeah, that's another thing. They broke as fuck. If people don't see that they're broke here, yeah, they're not going to do anything. And the simple fact that they're okay if they get 20% of the vote in a ward or a district, that's not. How do you win with 20% of the vote? I want to know that. How do you win with 20% of the vote? Because what's crazy to me is these people are happy with that. They feel like they've accomplished something with only 20% of the vote. What did you accomplish? What did you accomplish? I will never understand. When is second place or third ever? I mean, yeah, it's okay. I'm glad you got 20% of the vote, but if they're getting 80, who cares about your 20? Oh yeah, no, I know. And that's, I think that, right. Oh, I know. And I know that the Democrats are introducing legislation to get rid of the third party here in Minnesota. So there's another thing that I also wanted to talk about this morning. And because we're gonna come back to a couple of the little other things that we talked about. But also I want people to today watch out for, if you are involved in healthcare, members of the Minnesota Nurses Association will be at the state capitol today to support the so-called Healing Greed agenda. They say the proposed legislation puts patient needs before corporate greed in our hospitals. Minnesota House and Senate committees will hear testimony from nurses and allies boosting 4 bills, including the HEAL Act, which would protect healthcare workers from retaliation when taking action to hold hospital executives accountable for safe patient care, in a measure to provide greater public transparency around hospital and service closures. So if you're in the healthcare, that is something that is going on at the state capitol today. So you should watch the committee hearings. I know one already started that is going. So back to the Republicans. House Republicans call on Hennepin County Attorney Mary, whatever her last name is, to resign. House Minority Leader Lisa DeMuth and other Republicans are calling for Hennepin County Attorney Mary Mortery to resign. DeMuth alleges that Mortery's handling of State Trooper Ryan Lundgren's fatal shooting of Ricky Cobb II last year demonstrates what she calls cherry picking of evidence and testimonies. She notes that, and I'm going to get to that little statement in a minute. She notes that Mary's own use of force expert, Jeffrey Noble, admitted on October 13, 2023, that Trooper Lundgren committed no crime. Hennepin County Attorney Office says these allegations are simply false, and that the expert characterized the meeting as a preliminary discussion stating hypotheticals within the state, and that the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association seemed to want special treatment for its officers. Now, this is the part that I want to get into, because Lisa says that's how our judicial system works, Lisa. It cherry picks the statements it wants to take. It cherry picks the evidence it wants to see, right? Because when it comes to our wrongfully convicted, I know plenty of Black men and women right now that are just in Minnesota that are innocent and are sitting in prison because of cherry picking of evidence, cherry picking of testimonies. So this is my problem. You'll come out and you'll speak because you back the blue, but you won't even back the community that you're so-called, you say that you guys are out here working for, that you say you want to be a part of. That's not showing me you want to be a part of my community when you're doing things and you're coming out publicly saying things like that, and you're not speaking the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. So stop saying that we are Yeah, I will send it to you, Robert. I will definitely send it to you. And it's just crazy. Like we gotta stand up. We gotta stand up. We have to stand. Yeah, right. No, and United, that was something that also came up. So if people don't remember, here's something that wasn't talked about. It was, but I guess it wasn't. If people don't remember when our phone service went down, AT&T, T-Mobile, a little bit Verizon, also United Hospital was also affected in that cyber attack. And it wasn't just United Hospital, it was a prescription service that had ransomware. But United Hospital was also included in that, which is in Minnesota. It affected CVS pharmacies, actually. So yeah, I know I believe we really need more truth when it comes to, things like that with the cyber attacks, because I'll tell you right now, just since last year, just even last summer, the one that happened in Vegas at the casinos, the one that happened in Atlantic City, the one that happened in Fulton County with our actual government, not my government that I live in, but in Fulton County, so we're really coming into scary times of being able to trust and being able to with our information, because I'll tell you right now, what are we going to do if there is something that knocks out our grid and we can't go to the ATM, we can't go to the bank? What are we going to do? I don't think people are really thinking like that. And I honestly, that's why I tell people you should really watch some of these movies that are coming out, and heed some of these messages and heed some of these warnings, because something is coming. I can't tell you what it is that's coming, because shit, I don't even know, but I'll tell you right now, that shit is coming. It's coming. It's coming. And what's crazy is we don't even know who to expect it from, because right now America's in so much shit. America's in so much shit, right? Because we're just sending money to Haiti. We've been into it with Russia, with China, the South Korea, North Korea, Africa. Like, yo, we are in Israel right now. Like, here's my thing in America's views, because we sit here and we'll support one side of a situation instead of supporting both sides and trying to figure out a solution. No, it's got to be, and it's got to be one way or the other. And that's what we're literally allowing people to come in that they believe, that they in their, which it's the truth in their mind, that they believe that America is why their country is the way that it is. And some get mad about that because they would rather prefer to be in their country. Why do you think they call them suicide bombers? Suicide this, suicide that. Right. No, and I want people to really pay attention. And then they're writing legislation, right? Sanctuary cities, Minnesota. You know what's crazy is if you come to Minnesota, right, and you're a immigrant, right, you just cross the border. In Minnesota, you come here, you get a driver's license. If you can be a victim of a crime, they'll help you get your visa ASAP. You can get free education for college, right? 4-year college. It's got to be in Minnesota, though. Free health care, free rent. What more? Damn, that's the American dream right there. They offering for free that we can't actually even get in America. Right? Make that make sense. Because it's literally of, like I said yesterday, when, they're being asked, I'm not even gonna say they're being interviewed, because I don't look at that as an interview. But you know, when these people are all documenting, and I see things like that. Well, who you gonna vote for? Biden. Man, hold on, Playboy. You can't even vote over here. Fuck you mean who you voting for? Your answer should be, oh, I can't vote. Shouldn't be, oh, Biden. Fuck out of here. What do you mean? Because I know people right now that are out here in these streets that can't even vote. But yet, all of a sudden, I'm hearing looking at all this legislation about making it easier for them to vote. And yet, I got people in my own community that can't even vote. It's crazy. Crazy. And yet we don't pay attention to that because they literally are making it easier for them to come over here and to have that American. I think they're trying to make it seem like, okay, we're not so bad. If we just put it all on Trump, we'll put it all on Trump. How the hell does that help? How does that really help? So I want to go back to the school resource officer. For a minute. Because under the proposed legislation, officers can only use prone holds if a student poses a serious risk to themselves or others. This addresses concerns from a law passed last year, emphasizing prevention of holds impeding breathing or causing distress. Senator Bonnie Westland, DFL Plymouth, the bill's author, emphasizes a comprehensive and child-focused approach, seeking clarity and uniformity in defining and executing school resource officers' duties. The proposal mandates additional training for officers in school settings. Notably, officers cannot administer discipline for school policy violations. Yes, I just don't like the fact of that bill, that they'll be able to put their face down. That's the only thing that I disagree with. But I want to get into something else with the Republicans, because yesterday there was, well, I guess I can't say if it was yesterday, but I just found out about it last night. That there is a new bill, Senate File 4328, which is authored by Senator Jordan Rasmussen out of Fergus Falls. Bill 4328 aims to prohibit Minnesota cities from declaring themselves sanctuary cities and increases penalties for human trafficking. It also proposes fines for employers knowingly hiring illegal immigrants. Senator Rasmussen argues that sanctuary policies make Minnesota more attractive for those in the U.S. illegally and does little to address the broader immigration challenges. Under Senate File 4328, a sanctuary city is defined as one prohibiting public safety officials from inquiring about immigration status, cooperating with federal investigations, and sharing immigration data and with other entities. The bill is a direct response to Democrats' efforts to make Minnesota a sanctuary state through the North Star Act, which would restrict law enforcement from assisting federal agencies in enforcing immigration law. Now, that's the one thing that I know is, some people are talking about they're immigrant, they're going to vote about, immigration. I think that is something that we really need to pay attention to if you're local, because of the simple fact of, I know that they say that bill is dead right now, the North Star Act, some components of it. But I know just like last year, there's ways of them slipping it into the bill when it comes to the omnibus time. So That's what really what frustrates me, is because Democratic majorities in Minnesota authorized legislation granting certain benefits to illegal immigrants. Senator Rasmussen's bill responds by requiring state agencies serving illegal immigrants to report their activities annually for legislative review. Senator Rasmussen emphasizes transparency, aiming to shed light on the consequences of what he perceives as a failed federal response to illegal immigration. The companion bill in the Minnesota House, authored by Representative Isaac Schultz out of Elmdale Township, lacks support from Democrats in either chamber. And to me, that's the problem, because, okay, if you agree with, you might not, I already know that they probably don't agree with every aspect of that bill, but it's like, come on now, you should at least like compromise, because we have to do something. We can't be, we are at a crisis, man, like a crisis. And I don't know how many more times that people need, everybody's worried about World War III. Can we worry about what's brewing here in America? Because it's not going to, this war isn't this, it's everybody's thinking about, isn't going to be the war everybody's thinking. It's not going to look like it. It's not. I'll tell you right now, like they said, the projections of numbers, we have literally since 2020 had 7.2 million people cross our border. Cross our border, right? And here's the crazy thing, because I seen something this morning from, I think his name is Colin Rugg. He's a Republican, I don't know, content creator on Twitter. And he's like, yo, y'all need to barbecue. Which his name is Barbecue, the guy in Haiti. And it's like, I guess he's a cannibal or whatever. But it's like the shit that they say, they've already, like, because he's telling, the NAFTA and, the coalition to, stay out of Haiti's business. And they have this, right? That let the Haiti people control, take over their government. And of course, Biden and them they don't like that type of shit, right? So 100 million to them, another 35 million to training and all those types of shit over there. And it's like, what? Why are we getting involved, right? Why can't we just mind our own motherfucking business? And it's not even just so much about minding our business, right? It's about, this is never about the marginalized like they make it seem. Oh yeah, I know that he's a Mason. And they've spotlighted that enough. That's one thing that all I see is anytime they talk about Barbecue is his necklace, is his Freemason necklace. But it's like, I don't even see shit that's going on in America anymore. Well, I mean, I do, because I look for it, but it's like everything on my timeline is like, especially this morning, was about barbecue, was about Haiti, Russia, and how a plane crashed with 15 members of their military, or how the drone attacks from Ukraine, Haiti. I seen about Haiti. I seen about Sudan. Shit, but I didn't really see. It's like everything. I don't even see. Oh, I can't forget about Gaza. Well, I shouldn't say it's so much about Gaza, because it really wasn't. It was more about Sean King converting a Muslim, him and his wife. And it's like, how is that shit coming out? Like, who gives a fuck? Like that man turned Muslim. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. How's that even news? It just the shit that we strive for, man. And then it's like, I'm listening to a space last night, and I don't even know whose it was, but they were talking about FBA and Tariq, and it's like, I don't even know this. Like, for me, here's the thing of it is, right? Anything can be trademarked. And if niggas really think that Tariq came up with the term FBA, no, all the nigga did was trademark it. Y'all really need to do your research. That's why I don't get by, and that's why I say false prophets, right? False prophets. That's why and if he was definitely about reparations, we would have been had it. I think it's about money, man. All this shit I see is a grift. Because I see niggas more on an app than I do out here, because I can literally have conversations with these so-called activists, right? Don't know anything about a city charter. Don't know anything about state constitution. Don't know anything about post boards. Don't know anything about review committees. Don't know anything, right? Because I literally sent an article about 2 members of the Minneapolis police committee that just quit, that resigned. And they stated why. Because nobody's speaking about all the black people that are being let go. Right? Nobody's speaking about it. Because they don't want change. They don't want change in Minneapolis. They don't want change in Minnesota because they want the same shit. Right? That's even like yesterday. Minneapolis had I'm not going to call it a public hearing, a presentation about shot spotters, right? And of course, you know who had to get up and make a goddamn fool of himself? L. Flowers. It's like, dude, if you don't sit the fuck down somewhere, man, like, how can you say you out here fighting for the community, but every time we need to make a stand or a statement, you go up there and act a fool? Why don't you alert people to what's going on instead of blocking people when they want to call you out for your bullshit? You and your little weird ass sister, police ass sister, Lisa Clemens. It's like, y'all are so a part of the problem and don't even want to face it, right? Because Mayor Frey got y'all out here acting like coons. That's the whole thing for me. Because all of this is, and here's the crazy thing of it is, right? You and DeRay work together. Both y'all have the same master. That's the crazy part for me, right? I will never understand that because they get paid by the same people, Mayor Frey. I know who DeRay is, the dude behind the Campaign Zero. And y'all are real ignorant if people do not know who DeRay is, because he was already here in Minneapolis once before from the George Floyd days. Now, I remember these motherfuckers can't get shit. And that's what's crazy to me, how they do, because that's just, man, I'm telling you, y'all better watch Minneapolis. That Cedric Alexander was in Minneapolis City Council meeting yesterday for a fucking reason, because he gets paid off of shot spotters. Y'all gotta really do your research. Really do your research. And I understand that DeRay is he's speaking against shot spotters. But please believe, he wasn't that boy is Mayor Frey in pocket. I don't know what is, but I understand it now, is how they pay people to be on both sides of it, right? To make it seem like, that's why L did what he did yesterday, because he didn't want DeRay coming out shining ahead of him. And it's just crazy to me. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But we got to start calling it out, man. We got to start calling it out. Because I'll tell you right now, one reason why a lot of these so-called leaders, right, definitely, right, bingo. why I really can't mess with a lot of these so-called leaders is because you're okay with calling out some things that are wrong, but not everything that is wrong. And that's where I have a problem. And I see that a lot of people are blind followers and really don't care, because as long as it's okay with their false prophet, it's okay with them. And that's not the way that it should be, because I see a lot of people that are out here, you know, getting behind Trump and expecting people to, you know, ride behind that. And I see people like, yo, do y'all not remember what this nigga was doing in 2020 and 2021? Do y'all not remember all the stealing they were doing? And we're supposed to ride behind. Like, oh, I think that shit weird. And then these niggas out here fighting cases. They fighting cases for stealing from the community. And y'all say y'all still fighting for the community. You can't steal and fight for the community at the same time, my nigga. That's what I will never understand. It's either one way or the other. I am not a nigga that's going to sit here and be silent, right? Because I'm going to stand on what I say and I'm going to back it up, right? Because here's my thing of it is, and this is, again, every time I sense everybody, and I know this isn't a space, but let's see if this works, right? Let's see if I can get re-ups or one of his minions to come in here and say something, because they do it in the spaces every time I supposedly say their names, right? So let me ask you this. If you're about the community, how is it that the house you bought to better your community, you left it? And I know it's under federal investigation, right? But wouldn't you want people to stop coming in and out of there and making that community even worse than what it was when you left it, right? Wouldn't that be the whole purpose? But see, the thing of it is, your agenda was never about bettering the community, right? Neither one. It doesn't matter if you can, doesn't matter if you put on a suit, doesn't matter if you smelling nice, you still a piece of shit. You're still a piece of shit. And that's why I can't rock with these niggas, Isaiah or none of them, because y'all literally will call out Roland Martin, but you won't call. And here's the thing of it is, what the fuck does Roland Martin even matter? Because most people, you give that nigga attention. You give that nigga attention, because at the end of the day, I don't even know who most of these people are that y'all are out here so-called beefing within the black community and their so-called black leaders. I'd be like, who the fuck was that? Is that person? And then I'll reach out to people that I know in that community, and they'll be like, yeah, man, I don't get it either. I don't get it either. I don't get it, right? No thinking is allowed in America. Minnesota has the worst COVID recovery rates, and people that are business professional leaders are the joke. Yeah, they are. Let's keep it a buck, man. Nobody, that's the thing of it is, we don't want to hold anybody accountable. Nobody. And I think here's the thing of it is, Lisa, Walter, I think it is, what y'all did was great. But why are y'all worried about Mary when there's so many other things going on? You won't even call out the nonprofits that are out here, so-called nonprofits that are out here scamming our community, but y'all worried about a white lady. Y'all worried about a white lady who the voters ain't even worried about, because she's not going to resign. Why would she resign when literally she's having people that do not live in her district, do not live in her county, are calling for her to resign? And Paul Novotny, you might actually live in Hennepin County. I'm not 100%. You might live on the border somewhere of Hennepin. But everybody else that was at that damn podium, y'all definitely don't live anywhere near Minneapolis or even Hennepin County. So why are you asking for that lady to resign and her constituents saying? Because at the end of the day, I believe they would have already been asked her to resign after numerous times she's been in the news about not charging juveniles, about letting rape victims go, are fucking up rape victims' cases, right? So I think for you to come out and call her out and ask her to resign over about a state trooper, how about some of these other people that have been screwed over by Hennepin County attorney? Huh? Because she's the one that's allowing these juveniles to go run free with no consequences, right? How about calling her out for wanting to get rid of the minimum sentencing guidelines for possession of an illegal gun? How about calling out Minneapolis for allowing them the straw purchases that are killing our kids? How about that? How about you come out and say something about that? But I don't hear y'all talking about that. Why don't you come out and say something about the fentanyl that is causing an uptick in overdoses again? You know what's crazy to me is when you have these smaller communities come out and they're saying shit, but yet we can't even get the big hitters, the people that are supposed to say something, because yesterday, Dakota County authorities warned of an increase in drug overdoses. Authorities are warning from Dakota County are warning citizens about a spike in drug overdoses over the last month. Members of the Dakota County Drug Task Force say there is a rise in fatal and non-fatal overdoses. Could mean there's more fentanyl in the drug supply and an increase in powder cocaine. They say even recreational users are at risk for overdose and death. Officers say immediate access to Narcan can reverse an opioid overdose. Anyone suffering with possible symptoms should call 911. Yeah, this shit's serious. And y'all ain't watching out. People ain't watching out for it. People are not watching out for it, man. And there's so much going on. I'm just going to alert y'all to what's going on. We're going to talk about it because I'm not going to stay silent. But we literally have to figure out ways of how to fight this, of how to combat it. It's time to fight fire with fire, because it's coming, man. It's coming. Regardless if it's about erasing our history, if it's about erasing us as voters, if it's about erasing our neighborhoods. We got to do something. We got to. And I appreciate Walter. Like I said, I think he's a great guy. You know, I had a great space with him last Friday. And I'll be doing another space this Friday night. So please pay attention to that. Please pay attention to that. Yeah. And that's one thing that I talked about, this morning, is that 2 members of the Minneapolis Civilian Oversight Commission resigned. And again, we got to understand what's going on, man, because I'll tell you right now that watching that committee meeting yesterday morning out of Minneapolis, and don't get me wrong, I don't agree with Robin Walmsley politically at all. But I do like the fact that she sticks up for the community. Maybe not in the way that I agree with, but she does come out and she speaks loudly. And we need more of that. The same with Vital. I just don't agree with them politically. I'll tell you right now, though, if I had a choice, I would take Walmsley over Vital. 100% I would. I see there's going to be, what is today? I don't know. It's Thursday. They have that about Uber and Lyft. But we just need to start paying attention. We need to start really talking about solutions, and let's leave the deflecting and the distracting to them, right? Let's focus, because that's what I am. I'm going to tell you right now, when I go into these spaces now, I don't want to talk about drama. right? I don't want to attract people just so that we can cause drama or division within our ranks, right? Let's not talk about the things that are going to divide us, because I don't care if you're gay, right? But I don't care who you're kissing. I don't care who you're hugging, right? I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your gender. What I care about is if you care about the community. Because there's a difference between right and wrong. I'll tell you right now, I don't see people that love each other as wrong. I don't see people that see themselves as a family as wrong. Right? I'm not here to judge. That's not my job. That's not my job at all. What I want to do is better our communities, but we have to put the division and the divide and deflecting aside and focus. We have to. We have to. That's the only way we are going to be able to achieve this. So let's not talk about, oh, nigga, you ain't shit. You got some white in your family because I'm darker than you. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to hear about shit about lineage or delineating. I know I can't say that goddamn word. Talking about this and that, when at the end of the day, most of you niggas don't even know your own lineage. Y'all don't even know where you come from. Y'all will listen to other people and tell you what to call you, right? That's the problem. Because instead of figuring out where we really come from or who we really are, we'll just run behind. Because that's the one thing. I'm not calling myself, I haven't called myself, I used to, I believe I did when I first started, was calling myself a foundational Black American. Nah, nigga, I'm a Black American. I'm not about to sit here and put something that another nigga trademarked. Just because he trademarked it. He didn't invent it. He trademarked the shit. Because we got to understand there was people here before us, and that's the problem. Because if you don't know the history, you don't know where you're going. And that's one of the major problems in America, especially inside the Black community. We don't know our history, so we don't know where we're going, right? That's what a GPS is for. Because if you're lost, what do? If you're going on a road trip and you don't know where you're going, you're going to either ask for directions, you're going to go get a map. So why aren't we? We want to keep on listening to idiots who they're called leaders by puppets, so that we'll be puppets, so that we don't get nowhere. Because how are we okay with continually same shit, just a different day, when we know there's a better way, or we know there's a different way, but because these simple-minded ass people don't want to think outside of the box, we get the same results. We get the same results, right? Because again, why is something that should come with our judicial system, right? Getting involved in the political system. Why? Because it's a kitchen table item, but why isn't reparations? Let me ask y'all that, because you reparationists on your Twitter spaces, you should only be talking about reparations. You shouldn't be talking about everything else other than that, because shouldn't you be trying to make reparations a kitchen table item? Shouldn't you make it a kitchen table topic? Because I'll tell you right now, it ain't. But I bet you at your kitchen table, you niggas talking about immigration. You talking about how the Chinese is taking over all the nail salons. Are you talking about how the Hispanics, the Mexicans, the foreigners taking over all the restaurants? They buying up all the land. How you get rid of that? But I bet you niggas ain't talking about reparations. So when you ready to talk about how do we make it a kitchen table item, or we make it a topic that people actually talk about, then let's have a conversation. But y'all ain't having that because you're talking about everything else except how to get the goal, how to score the touchdown. You're talking about everything else. It's like if people don't remember the Super Bowl where the Seattle Seahawks had the ball at the 1 yard line, right? They could have gave it to Marshawn Lynch, one of the biggest motherfucking backs in NFL history, at the 1 yard line, hard, unstoppable, right? Or they could run the option and give it to Russell, and maybe he'll win it with his arm. The nigga throws an interception. You could have literally just ran the ball. And that's what we do. We continually keep on throwing to get picked off instead of going with this Hall of Famer, potential Hall of Famer. Give him the ball. Because all we got to do is just give him an opportunity, but we don't want to give him that opportunity, right? Because we want to keep on taking it away. Just like when it comes to Charlie Brown, every time he got close to kicking the ball, what'd they do? They took it away. They took it away. They took it away. So we got to stop. Come on, man. Let's get to the goal line. If you're a reparationist, right? Stick to reparations. Stop talking about shit you don't know about. That's why Mark Carter keeps on talking about immigration, because that's all he knows. He's not talking about how they allowed them to be police officers in Illinois. He's not talking about the free health care they get, or all the money that their mayor is giving them, or their state representatives are writing legislation to make it sanctuary cities. Because I'll tell you right now, Trump ain't gonna be able to do shit about that. It doesn't matter if he does anything federally, because if they become sanctuary states and cities, doesn't matter what they do federally, because it means if they're sanctuary, they don't agree with the federal government and they're not going to work with the federal government. Do y'all not understand what that means? But they're not telling y'all that, right? Because Illinois and certain places in Chicago are in certain places in Illinois are sanctuary cities, right? All over America, because they have the Office of New Americans, or they have the Cities for Action. And while you're spotlighting, that's very good. But you have to understand some of those places already have legislation that needs to be repealed. And if it's not repealed, they're only going to gain advantages from it. We're not educating people the right way, right? Because we want people to be angered instead of literally being educated and to fight fire with fire, because we're not right now. And it's sad. So, boy, I love me some hazelnut coffee. I'll tell you right now. Oh yeah, it's still right. That's why they won't let Larry go. Here's my thing, if it is, right? Y'all talking about vote Trump. Dude should have let out Larry Hoover. It went in during his first 4 years. Fuck you mean? Why didn't he let out Larry? He wouldn't let out everybody else because they know Larry will change this motherfucking whole set of America, because they know that's a real nigga. They know Larry real. They know Larry gonna call that shit out. Right. Man, that's the whole thing of it is Trump ain't gonna close the border either. And I wish people would wake up to that shit too. Because he can't. He can't. That's what people don't understand. He can't. There ain't no executive order that is going to completely close our borders. There's not. There's not. I don't care what that man says. There's no legislation in the world that is going to close our borders completely. I don't give a fuck about that wall he want to build. None of that. It ain't none of that going to close it. With that being said, man, close out this episode. Talked about a lot. You know, we talked about the HEALS Act. Talked about the SRO bullshit and how they want to be able to put our kids face down in prone positions. We talked about the Republicans and the Hennepin County Attorney Mary Mortery, and they're asking her to resign. I'm gonna ask y'all like Ellison asked L. Flowers, shut up and sit the fuck down. Shut the fuck up and sit down. Politely. Right? And I'm sure they probably asked me the same shit. But I'm asking y'all politely to shut the fuck up and sit this one out, man. Right? Because we already got Brian Peters and the MPPOA already acting an ass. And this is something that does not need to be politically right. It doesn't need to be political, because I'll tell you right now that Ryan Lundgren will see a jury of his peers. Now, do you want to talk about that? Because he has a better chance of seeing a jury of his peers than a North Minneapolis resident has a chance of seeing a jury of their peers. So remember that. So are we going to keep it in the hands of justice? Are we going to make this once again, a political issue? When justice and accountability should never be a political issue. Never. It should be the hands of at the judicial. And again, we're not allowing it because we are concluding people's minds. We're letting people come to conclusions instead of letting it play out. And that's what's wrong with America, right? So, win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well. Y'all have a great one.